This video clip is about correlating paired data. In the spring of 2012, the juniors at San Juan High School all took the ACT test. And here are the scores. Like row 2 is the English score, math score, reading score, science score, and composite score for a student. So each row represents a student. So they're paired, they're grouped, so that these scores all came from the same student. I've ordered them according to the English scores, but and as I did that, I noticed something. It seemed like the higher the English score, the higher the math score. So I wanted to see correlations. So if we go to Data in the tab up here, Data Analysis, Correlation, okay. Let's go ahead and correlate all of those. We could just do math versus English and then each one as a pair, but if you have several things that you want to see how they correlate, you can do them all at the same time. So we'll say, okay, they're grouped by columns, they have a label in the first row, and we're going to output that data. We'll put it right there so it won't right over the top of data. Oops. Need to make sure that's blank before I put something there. Those are the correlation coefficients. So English and math correlate somewhat. Better than a 50-50. So there is some correlation. But it's interesting that English and the composite score really correlate well. And reading and composite correlate well also. So you might want to see what those look like graphically. So we could select, let's just say insert a scatter plot. Oops, that's not what we want. So if I select all those columns and I say insert scatter plot, there's a bunch of scatter plots. They're all on top of each other. It's hard to see. But this first column is English. So I'm going to just do English versus composite. So I'm going to grab the upper left corner of the dependent variables and change that graph. So now I just have English versus the composite score. So that's the English versus the composite score. Let's add some titles so we can figure out what's going on. The horizontal axis is the English score. The vertical axis, I'm going to rotate it, is the composite score. While that is selected, I'm going back to home, change the text to about 20 so you can see it a little better. Whoa. So let's dress that up a little bit. It's San Juan High, 2012. English versus composite. And we don't need this here. That just scrunches the graph. If we select our right mouse button when we're over the data, one of the options is to add a trend line. Linear is selected already. And if we display the equation on the chart and the r-squared value and close that, it will print those two right on it. So it says 0.86 is an R squared. And here's the equation of a line that kind of fits that data. That R squared of 0.86 is really quite a good fit. You can see that it doesn't fit all of the points, but you could say that about 86% of what influences a person's composite score is their proficiency with the English language. So, is that because they can read well? Well, maybe so, because the reading score also has a great correlation to composite. But anyways, that would indicate that that's one area of focus. If you would like to do well on the ACT, you probably want to pay attention in English class. Does that mean if you don't do well in English, you can't do well overall? Well, no, not necessarily. This is a English score below 20 and a composite score above 20. Quite a bit below 20 on English, quite a bit above on the composite. However, that is unusual. It just doesn't happen very often. Most of the people that have scores, English scores above 20, score above 20 on the composite score, and most of those that are below 20 on the English scores score below 20 on the composite also. So it doesn't explain everything, but it is quite a huge factor, quite a huge influence on the composite score.